Good day, everyone. So, I am Queen Mihinay, the second to the last reporter. So, my topic is all about the materials and resources in teaching poetry. So, what is poetry? So, in the previous presenters, they already presented a number of definitions about poetry. So, according to William Wordsworth, poetry for him is the spontaneous overflow of powerful passion. So that means that it is a natural and immediate expression of strong emotions. He believed that when someone experiences intense emotions, those feelings can spontaneously and naturally flow out in the form of poetry. So it's like an emotional release or outpouring that comes directly from the heart without any premeditation or calculation. So that's poetry for him. So in teaching poetry, we must first learn how to analyze poetry. So first off, look at the title, form, and shape of the poetry. Read the poetry aloud or in your mind. Think about the setting of the poetry. Work out the subject and themes of the poetry. So in this part, you opt to understand or analyze what is the poetry is trying to convey, or what is the message of the poetry, what is it all about. So identify the sound effects such as rhymes, assonance, and alliteration. And lastly, identify poetic devices. So let's move on with the materials and resources in teaching poetry. So we have here the first one, which is books. So of course, we choose books as a medium of instruction or materials and resources of in teaching poetry. So books that has poetry in it, and second is the school learning materials. Any form of books or ebooks that are provided by the school for the students. And the third one is internet. So internet is very useful for searching poetry and different websites because you have a freedom to explore and and discover the different kinds of poetry, different kinds of author, composers, and of course, be mindful in choosing poetry as a medium of instruction that is fitted and appropriate for your student. And the fourth is the self-made poetry. So in this part, the teacher used her or his own composition of poetry for the discussion while assuring that it is related to the topic and beneficial for the student learning. So after that, after presenting different various of different kinds or various of materials and resources and teaching poetry, you can now do the activity, the pre-reading activities. Pre-reading activities, it is a used before the actual reading of the poetry. For example, brainstorming or interviewing. So you can give the time to your students to brainstorm about what is the poetry that they love or the favorite poetry that they read, and also you can ask them what is poetry for them, or you can ask them questions regarding poetry so that you can measure their knowledge about poetry. So after that is writing practices. Of course, um, in this part, encourage the students to create their own poetry. It is we have this notion that or saying that experience is the best teacher, and I believe that letting the students experience or compose their own poetry is a long-term learning because they can they may appreciate or they can appreciate the beauty of poetry and to apply their creativity, to use their critical thinking and composing their own poetry. So after that is follow-up activities. So reviewing a short clip on the poetry. So if you presented various poetry examples or in the book, with it's either in the book or internet, self-made, the school learning materials, you can review it so that the students have a deeper understanding about the poetry. So things to consider in teaching poetry is only those poetry should be selected with or up to the mental level of the learners. Take note, only those poetry should be selected with or up to the mental level of the learners. The rhythmic poetry appeal more to the children because they can be memorized easily by them. So in teaching poetry, we foster creativity through writing exercises and discussions, cultivate appreciation for the power and beauty of language. So in conclusion, teaching poetry is a multifaceted process that involves pre-reading, writing, follow-up activities that requires a range of resources including books, internet resources, and school-provided materials. However, the selection of poetry should be age appropriate and the teaching process should foster creativity and appreciation for language. Ultimately, the goal is not just to teach poetry, but to instill a love for the power and beauty of words. I think that's all. Thank you and God bless.